Hey guys, Anthony 4x4 Diesel. You may have recently seen a few of our videos, about one a day if you're all over it. We did have a short video, it goes for about 3 minutes, showing the brake squeal on both the 120 and the 150 with genuine pads. So 2008 120 with genuine pads that have been in for a year, 1 to 2 years. Brakes started squealing after they bared it in. Changed rotors, was okay for a little while, as soon as they bared in, squealing again. Now we've done something different, testing out that CRC disc brake white seems to have worked. We've got a video, goes for nearly an hour, shows what we did with that, and obviously you could use that to change your rear brake pads yourself. I'm not saying you should do that, it's a safety thing. Brakes are a matter of life and death, you really need to know what you're doing, but that may assist you, or the people that know what they're doing that have decided they're going to do it anyway, that may help you. Then we did a conclusion, short video again, a few minutes, showing you how the brakes are quiet, and if that changes, I'll let you know. If you want to stay up to date with the latest updates, make sure you are subscribed with that bell on so that you get those updates. Now, we've got a 2019 150. It's obviously under warranty, but we've been there, done that for decades with new cars, taking vehicles in to get them worked on under warranty, and they may eventually fix the problem, but as soon as they touch it and do other work on it, when I say they, it's a general term. Dealerships, general brands in general, not all the dealerships. There's some good dealerships, some good service managers and some good technicians, but there's a lot of riffraff in between, and the odds are not so good. So here we are doing another video, rather than taking it in under warranty, doing our own repairs. The brakes on this squeal quite badly. It took around about 20,000 Ks for it to start. But it's quite consistent now, particularly when cold, even when moving forward, and I've had enough of it. So we're going to do something different in this video to the last one. Obviously different perspective with the camera, different information. That's why we say watch all the videos. Even if you've seen the one about how to change the rear brake pads, well, have a look at this one as well, because what we do with our videos, we make sure the information, it's fully inclusive and all that information's there. It's not just a slap bang and now we're going to do this, and we're not showing you the wrong procedures. We may leave some things out because there's a whole heap of information. I said it's hard to get through to you decades of experience in a video, so I'll do the best I can. I think I do a fairly good job going by the comments. With this one, slightly different wheels to the 120. With the 120 you can get the wheel nuts off without removing the cap. On these, sometimes depending what socket you use, and we've got one of these impact sockets that it's got the protection on it to not scratch the wheel, but they do rub on the plastic, so it's your choice whether you pop that off. You can do that if you like, but it does risk scratching the wheel as well, so you got to be careful with that. For this wheel, we're not going to pop the cap off. Let's see what happens. And yes, we've got the old crappy road tyres on. Never off this vehicle, that's another scam, but you know, worry about that another time. These are the tyres that, they've only done about 8,000 Ks, that I can tell you they've done at least 40 to 50,000 Ks. But anyway, bada bing, you get that. So let's get these wheels off and proceed with the repair. Wheel nuts on the side step. Drop one, you get that. And generally the wheel will probably just, let me just get down here and get this nut. Okay, the wheel will generally just go like that. Sometimes it'll be stuck and you need to give it a bit of a hit, and that goes for all cars really. You may need to give it a bit of a hit, or from behind. Some people use a rubber mallet, but I can tell you, using a solid mash hammer on the back of the rim, you don't have to hit it hard, just enough to give it a good jarring to pop it loose, but in this case it's come loose. So we'll go and pop this over here out the way. You may be able to see in the reflection what I'm doing over this one. Okay, that's that. Now, that's obviously wheel off. Then you need your 17mm. If you wanted to know, the wheel nuts are 21mm, there you go. So the added information wasn't in the last video. As you can see, brand new vehicle. Maybe we need to get in a bit closer. Let's have a look, eh? How's that? All right, close enough for you to see what's going on anyway. So these have never been undone. You would assume factory you know, specification, so it'll be interesting to see. Yep, just like if you notice the 120 that we've had off a few times, around about exactly the same. So I'm going to have to get in the way a bit. That won't work. The good old hitting thing always works better than, unless you've got a longer bar, of course, right? As I said in a video recently, anything under 10 mil and under, I like to use quarter drive. Anything from about 10 to 14 mil is your 3/8 drive. And then once you go over 14 mil, this is a 17, that's where you go up to your 1/2 inch stuff. Now what we're going to do, because this is a fairly new vehicle, we're going to take a lot of care to make sure that we don't get these top and bottom bolts mixed up. We're going to put them back where they go. Right, see the suction still? You got the suction from the grease, so it comes out but it doesn't want to come out, sort of thing. Anyway, you can see there's not a lot of grease on those, and there's a reason for it. So you don't need to go packing them with grease. The top one we're going to put furthest away so we know. That's the way we do it. Lane whichever way you like, okay? I'll show you something. Excuse me. See there's not a lot of grease on there? Right, because there's no room for it, but there's a bit on the end. What I generally do, if it's starting to look a bit dry or anywhere on here, I'll carefully take with a clean, not with that dirt, nice and clean, take that lubricant from there and spread it onto the area it needs it. We may do that in this video. Let's just see. So that's the bottom one. We're going to place it, bada bing. Okay, in this case we haven't pushed the pads back like the other vehicle. Should we? We don't really need to, but I'll tell you what, we'll just give it a little bit. Newer car, no lip on the rotor. The caliper and everything would probably slide off really easy, but not hard. Well, there you go, I just said it's not hard, but it is hard to just get in there. Should have done it before I undid the caliper, but we just want to push just gently a little bit. That's it. That's how easy they are to push in, guys, on these. Not all brakes are like that, so don't assume. So there's your caution. Don't assume that because these ones are, others are also. You can see the usual sort of dust and stuff in there. You can clean it if you like. Like I said, they're very light, those calipers. The brake line can handle that, no problem whatsoever. Now, what we're going to do with these is, and you can see they're like new. I'm not even going to take them out. As easy as they are to get out. We did that in the other video. I'm trying to be different to the other video. So this is what we are going to do, right? Something different. We've got our Penrite copperese, okay? You can see what it looks like. It's not going to melt type stuff. And all I'm going to do, this is, look, I haven't done this before, this is a test. I'm going to pull the backing plate off, right, just the backing plate. You know, it's not hard to take the pads out, of course, we showed you in the last video, but we're just trying to be different here. If you've got a squeal, right, you can see there's your pad, right, whatever. You could clean it if you're going to use that CRC disc brake wipe, but we're not. Right, so we've got our backing plate here, that's the outer, that's the inner. I'm just going to put a small amount of grease on the inside here and on the outside there. So I'll just get a little bit like that on the finger, right? I'm just going to go, I'm talking, you know, small, it's just going to go everywhere, so small amount to kind of like paint that if you like. Just at the area where the caliper is. So this is a bit of our R&D, because we've definitely got vehicles that 100% brakes are squealing, right? And I don't really like products that don't work, and I don't like products that hide problems, right? But knowing with a brand new genuine vehicle, and it's not a regular thing, if it does happen, it's not a problem. We know it's not a problem because the car's new. So that's what I've done, guys. I've put the copperese, you can see a sort of nice paint job. Yeah, you like that? Now, without getting what's on my finger all over the place, I'm going to carefully just try and slip that back in position. Right, like so. Just make sure it's all the way in. There's clips at the bottom and a clip at the top. Right, that side's done. We're going to do the same on this side. Try and get that backing plate off without the pad. Hopefully it all comes out in one because nobody's worked on it before. There it is, right? There's actually two rattle shims there, right? We'll just give it a bit of a wipe. It's grease we're using, so we're not too fussed. This time you can see the rust mark. We're going to put the rubber grease just there because that's where the pistons make. You can see where the piston makes contact. There's no point putting it anywhere else. So we'll just give it a bit of a wipe like that. A little bit of, did I just say rubber grease? I did, didn't I? I'm pretty sure I did. I can't remember, but so same deal, guys. You know, kind of like what we did with the disc brake quiet. But if you've already got this stuff, this could be a solution. But as I said, you need to subscribe so you can see the result. I'll do another video with this vehicle. That's one side done, right? I'll do another little video telling you if it worked, and then if it starts making a bit of noise after a couple of months, then you want to know about it. So, because that's how you keep your most up-to-date information, because it's a bit of R, isn't it? What's R for the people that don't know? R is what we call, well, it's not R&D because we're not developing anything. We're just researching, testing. Maybe we'll call it R&T, research and testing. There you go. From now on, it's called R&T. Okay, so when I say we're doing a bit of R&T, don't be the guy that goes, mate, it's R&D, not R&T. For us, it's R&T. Okay, that's going to pop back on the inside. I'm not even sticking my head in there. I'm just going to go by feel and just kind of hook it in at the bottom, hook it in at the top. Look at that, right? Popped in perfect. You probably should stick your head in there if you like. So what we'll do, we'll just grab a light. To teach you the right thing, I'll stick my head in there and have a look. Make sure it's all sitting right, and it is beautiful, okay? Bada bing, beautiful. All right. So then, of course, all we're going to do is, at this point, I'll remind you, you may need to pump the brakes a little bit. Remember what I said in the other longer video about the shorter strokes and all that? What other video? Well, I don't know. One of them. Watch them all. Now, that's just sitting there at the moment. Now, what I said I was going to do, I'm going to wipe any dirt and debris off these. That's why wearing gloves is good, because, you know, it might look dirty, but if it's not coming off on this rag, right, it's not coming off. I'm going to take, this grease here, this lubricant here, sorry, and I'm just going to spread it pretty well around the joint because it's better off there than on the end. Right, bada bing. And then nice and cleanly straight in there and just get that started. Right, beautiful. Same with this one. Tends to be the top one that wears a bit more, or it gets black like it's wearing or doing the work. That's why I'm in two minds. Don't mix them up, or mix them and share the load, right? Perhaps. But we don't have any problems with these calipers. They're a great caliper and it's a good setup, right? So not too fussed about that. Now, as I said before, going from memory, a very long ago type memory, I believe the torque setting for this is about 80 Newton meters, and I would suggest that's probably about right. And as I probably said in the other video, I've never used a torque wrench on a caliper. I know people that do, but the problem is they even forget to do it. What's more important, using a torque wrench or remembering to actually do the job? So you need to be careful who you go to and just make sure, right, that they're F-tight. You know, we're not hanging off it. It's just a 1/2 inch ratchet, but they're tight. They're not going anywhere. Probably about that torque setting. Been doing them for decades, so you don't need to worry about me and my procedures, right? If you like, if you're not sure. The other thing you can do is grab your light and just make sure your little dust boots are sitting in position. That is these little suckers here. So I'm just going to get them away for a minute. Generally with that bit of grease, it'll just pop in place. You'll see a little bit of thread there because the thread of the end of the bolt comes through, and that dust boot will be just sitting beautiful. And that's as good as factory or better. And the only thing you got to remember is, see that caliper's moving now because we pushed the piston back a little bit just to make it a bit easier to get the caliper off, which I said we didn't have to do, but sometimes when you've got a lip, in this case, the pads stay there, the caliper comes off first every time. Different brakes, different systems. Just be aware, just because you saw this video, I don't think you can go and change brake pads on everything. We've seen some horrendous things, but the main thing is R&D. Applying that small amount of grease on those pads, we want to see, A, does it fix the squeal, and B, will it melt and make a mess? Now, I pointed out, I'll have a look, I'll do it again. If you look on the back of the, here it says temperature range -10 to 1000 degrees, drop point, non-melt, right? So it ain't going to melt, it's going to stay where we put it, and it's going to be a bada bing moment. Now, what now? Okay, well, what do you do now? Well, you double check, you make sure, did you definitely, everything sat back in place? You did your bolts up, 100%, you're happy? Okay, well then, that's pretty easy then. What's next? Wheel goes on, and what I'll do, I'll just back the camera off a little bit to show you either the easy or the hard way to do some things. Right. The easy way to do it is push the wheel in till it sits flush like that. I'm holding it at the bottom with one finger just to hold it square, and then you'll quite easily get all your wheel nuts started, usually, except when you're doing a video. Right, these nuts do rub a little bit on the plastic. I'm not fussed about it. Save me taking the plastic on and off, but you know, you can take the cap off, but then as I said, it risks scratching the wheel here where you've got to sort of slightly lever, but you can put a rag there and all that, but then, you know, it's good to take all that care, but there's a lot of time, and see, sometimes that nut doesn't feel like it started properly. There's no way I'm going to put a gun on that. So what I'll do then is I'll spin it around, and then I'll give it a wiggle, and then sometimes the cap ends up falling off anyway, right? See how I want them to spin freely at least, right, at least a few turns like that before I put a gun on it, okay? And I'm going to put the gun on the lightest setting for some feedback on the Rover. Yeah, haven't been using it long, and I keep it nice and clean. I don't do a lot of wheels and tyres type stuff. That's the other reason. You can monitor how many wheels and tyres I do by how clean this stays, to be honest. So there you go. The heavy stuff, right? The heavy stuff, that's for the young guys, right? And watch your back, guys, because you can't get it back later. I'll give you the news, right? Right, so the main thing is, just make sure that stayed on there too. Don't want to lose any caps, right? So it's up to you. There's a little slot there. To get it off, you just literally bang, but again, levering against there, so pop a rag or something there so you don't scratch the wheel. Depends whose car you're working on, how fussy you are. I'm going to go to number 2, and I'm not holding the trigger flat out because I'm going to torque these wheels up with a torque wrench, and we're not going to forget, because you just slow down and double check. Don't forget things. You can't afford to forget these things. All right, so we're just going to go. I know this is to not scratch the wheel, but everything would fit so much better without that. So let me just pull that off to demonstrate. You can get that protection off, and then the socket actually fits in there better, right? And then things work, because when it's tight, you know, it's making you, you know, there's no pit stop bloody service going on here, and you can see we've used it on a number of cars without the cover because it doesn't fit. So the covers, they're a good and a bad idea, you know. Up to you, personal choice if you want to leave it on or not. I don't mind it. But anyway, the point is, I like to do them up tight enough that if you forget to torque them off, they're not going to come loose and fall off. So it kind of pays to do what I did, and just sort of, I don't care if you just, you know, don't hold the trigger because it's just going to over tighten me. Just a quick boop boop. You know what I mean? I put my money that they're about 100 to 105, maybe 110 Newton meters, somewhere between 100 and 110, and they would never come loose. But we're going to put a torque wrench on them, and they're either going to click, it's going to be like a 1 to 5 degree thing. I get them real close, okay? So that's how we roll. We're going to go do the same on the other side. Okay, over on the passenger side now. So what tools do you need? You kind of need a 21mm socket. Yeah, it's good when they come undone sort of evenly like that, because then you know that they've been done up evenly, if you know what I mean. All right, we'll get this wheel out the way and grab our next tools. Next tools, special tool, caliper brake, caliper retracting tool, aka screwdriver. We're just going to gently, just a little bit, push the piston in just a smidgen, right? It's more than enough, see? You got that bit of movement there. If your rear brakes are squealing. Next thing you need, 17mm socket. We prefer single hex or 6-point if you like. See that? 6-point's what fits on a nut. Why would you use 12-point? I don't get it. You know, some heads need that, but yeah. We've got heaps more videos coming your way, so if you haven't already, maybe now while we're doing this is a good time to subscribe. Detailed videos on how to do things right the first time, fully inclusive, not the edited, you know, the cutouts where they sort of, you know, show you some of it but not all of it, and you know, when there's a problem or something goes pear-shaped, they edited it out. Nah, it's just bang. It's what it is, mate, you know. Right now, I did say clean was important, and this hasn't been cleaned up other than its last car wash also. Probably better to pre-prepare a little bit if it's your own vehicle because you love it. That's why you're doing your own work. I'm just going to gently pull that out. Right, same thing. Try not to mix them up. You know the dirty one's going to be the top one because that's the pattern we see. Right. Bang, out clean as well. Look at the heap of lube on the end of that one. We might even transfer a bit from one to the other. Put the lube from the bottom one on the top one, you know. Okay, so carefully lift that caliper off. I've got a feeling, this backing plate's, look, it's waiting to come off. Maybe that's to do with why, that's where our squeal's coming from perhaps, maybe. So we'll do a bit of an inspection on that. If we can get it out, we're making ourselves look pretty amateurish at the moment, but that's how we roll. Okay, can't see any rubbing around there. Might give those tabs a little bend in, might not too. To be fair, just to do that. I kind of want to do nothing else except put that copper grease on. So we're going to again wipe the fingers a little bit. And just going to paint the back of that. I think I got enough on my finger for one side, not two. Again, you don't need to go crazy. It's just enough to dampen the vibration, okay? Right, one side done. Just going to grab a little bit more to do the other side. And this is how long it takes, guys. So when you look at, you know, what you're getting charged and repair times, the other good thing about these videos is you can see the actual time it takes. Probably takes, you've got to allow a bit extra time because we've got to talk to you, we've got to take the booking, we've got to do invoices, we've got to put the vehicle on the hoist and all that, pre-road test, make sure, okay, that's what it's doing before, let's, you know what I mean? So there's other time involved. Job like this, might charge you an hour for it, but it's probably going to involve about 2 hours, including communication with you in a phone call, a text message, and picking up, dropping off the vehicle. So please understand that. And that's another reason why rates need to be more than just wages, because paying rates that just charge for wages lead to businesses that are unsuccessful, okay? Something to have a think about. Okay, we're going to slip that one straight back in position. Just having a look at the tabs to see if they need... look, we're not going to bend them. I'm just going to let it go back how it was. Right, without the rubber glove. Right, there it goes. That'll kind of like stick there anyway because of the grease. Okay, we're just holding the pad in place and trying to get that flick that little tab at the top there, and then you've got two at the bottom that they're just sitting there. It's like, you know, there it is, right? So we're just going to clean, give it a bit of a clean. You know, we're not too worried about it. It's just dirt and everything. When you wash the car thoroughly and put enough water over it after a trip, so this has been on an outback trip recently, when you put enough water over it, that's all you need to do. So there you go, just showing you, we're sort of giving that a bit of a clean up in the area that matters, right? Go get a little bit of the good stuff. A bit of chit chat, but it's not making it take any longer than it would. Right, so just a little bit on that area there where the piston sits. And that round thing, yeah, that's in the caliper, that is the piston, in case you were sitting there, because obviously I've got to remember, a lot of people watching don't know the basics, so we're trying to cater for them as well. Right, so if you don't know the basics and you shouldn't be touching things like brakes, don't do it, because it can become quite dangerous. Even professionals, as I mentioned before, do forget to do up caliper bolts, unfortunately. Which leads you back to the fact that you need to be very careful who you go to get any work done on your vehicle. It doesn't mean they're not going to make a mistake, but it means they're 99.9% at least. Do you know what I mean? Like, people are people, they can make mistakes, but you can have quality control in place, right? There it is. That's how, a bit messy, but we don't really care, okay? The most exciting part is you can see, look, this is mainly highway case car. You can see how flat and beautiful the rotors are, you know? They're just absolutely beautiful. The pads, hardly worn. Highway case doesn't use brakes. We've done nothing else other than this, so it's 100%. When we do testing and what we'll call R&T, or, you know, R&D, R&T, whatever you want to call it, we're really fair about it, right? There's no agenda to, you know, try and make something look good or bad or whatever. It's just what it is, okay? And you couldn't get any more fairer than, you know, checking it out like this, right? You know, so we're going to get in there, get the big head in the picture again, and just go, yep, there it is. Okay, they're all looking good. I'm happy with that. Right, you can clean that out if you like. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to carefully sit that caliper back in position, being careful not to knock those boots off, which I've never seen that happen before, but just be careful. Now, like the other side, cleaning the gloves before I touch this grease, because I don't want to add any of the dirt or dust that's on these gloves, right, into that grease mix. Right, I'm going to take half the big dab, because there's a lot on this one. I'm going to put it on the end of the other one, the top one, right? I've done that, right? I'll show you, right? See? Taking some of what's off this one and put it onto that one to add a bit extra to the top one, because it seems a bit ripped off. It's got to be fair, you know, for the people that have got two kids. Oh, you know, he can get more than me, she can get more than me, all that sort of stuff. So we do the prevention where we can. Spread that over there nicely. No point it being on the end, but not too much either. All right, now which one was that? Who can remember? The clean one, usually the bottom, I think. Unless I made a mistake. I'm happy to make a mistake, so if I made a mistake, I'm pretty sure it's the bottom that's always the clean one. We'll do some more videos and you guys can watch for yourselves and see. All right, so that one's just about all the way in with the same clean finger that I haven't touched. I used this finger to do up the bolt, then it got, this one's still clean, right? So I'm going to do the lube up the slides. So sometimes with brake squealing there can be other problems and other causes. What I'd like to point out with this is, it's a really good example having a vehicle that's less than a year old at 20 something thousand kilometres. I can tell you it's about 26 odd thousand kilometres at the moment. As I said, mainly does trips, so it gets up the Ks on the highway. Right, we've got other vehicles for the shorter trips and all the local trips and stuff. As I said, that boot should just pop into place on that bolt where it sits. You should be able to do those up in and out with your hands if you've kept everything clean and maintained. Again, I just want to tell you about this ratchet, right? I had a few of these and the others I've given away. This is one of the oldest ones, and when I was a first year apprentice, my father, managing director at a company, for whatever crazy reason, he was up on the roof. I don't know if it was after one of those floods that they had or whatever, checking what areas up. Anyway, I found a ratchet up on the roof, and this was found on the roof. It was totally caked in rust, right? See the old Made in Australia Sid Chrome? Anyway, I had a number of them exactly the same. Never used them because what happened, we got this rusty one and thought, well, Sid Chrome, lifetime warranty, right? So let's test out the warranty. I put it on the buff, right, in the workshop, on the wire buff, buffed it up a little bit. I don't know if we're buffed. Yeah, I think we must have buffed it up pretty well. Back to that, that's why it's got that rough finish on it, not smooth. It was caked. It had like, you know, the 2 mil build up of rust. Anyway, send it away to Sid Chrome. They put all brand new guts in it here and a new handle on it, right? So there you go. That's why you can see the old handle must have went up to about there. And you can see the rust down there. And obviously using it over the years, the grease and whatever's kind of given a bit of a polish up. But how's that, guys? That's at least 30 years old, found up on a rusty, and it was like scrap metal when it was found, right? So what I'm going to do with this one, I like to get behind the vehicle so I can get a better pull, because the thing is, so you'll see the tips that come in that didn't, you know, I can go, I'll give you an example. I can stand here and go, but it's not, you know, you can't pull, you know, you're sort of pulling sideways on these. They just want to be a little bit tighter, okay? And I'm fairly strong, as I said. I can probably do it from there, but it's easy to just go behind and just go, and just get a nice feel for what you want. Right, and for me, that's it. For you, go look up the torque spec and use a torque wrench if you're not sure. Now, let's double check those rubber boots and everything went into position where they're meant to. Yep, beautiful. Yep, and you've seen the back on my head a few times, and in some videos you can see the front, but you know, if you really want to, you just got to go hunting through the videos. You can see me in reflections. I've said it before, it's not about me, guys. It's not about me. It's not about being, I don't need to be that famous person. It's about the information and helping you guys. If I've got to be in the video, if that makes you happy, then we can do that too. Certainly there's videos in the VIP group that have got me in them. And we also do what we call at the moment Live at 5, which doesn't have to be a Friday, but it's been 5 PM on Fridays, Live at 5. For those people watching this that are in the VIP, that didn't know that, Live at 5. Can't guarantee it, all depends what's happening and depends on the weather and a number of things. But there you go. And just a reminder, if you need to contact me, please save it till Monday morning, 9 AM Melbourne time, or even from 8 AM's fine. If you want to purchase your injector kit or any of those other parts kits we supply, you can even text me during the week for information, and I'll send you the videos so you've got the rest of the week, the weekend to watch them. Then by Monday morning, you know what you want. Monday is parts day. That's where I organise all your parts, pack them, send them, whatever, and we do 2 runs a week. So if you get in early enough Monday, you organise by Monday, pay it, and the funds are in, then it'll get sent Monday afternoon. If not, the next run's Thursday. So Monday and Thursday at the moment with COVID, we're trying to keep it limited. Don't try and call, the phone doesn't ring, it's a text message service only. Once you're a client of VIP, the phone may ring for you, then it just depends how busy I am if I can answer it. Of course, always ask your questions in the groups first, in the VIP group, whatever the case may be. We like to answer them publicly so we can help everybody all at once, you know what I mean? So, all right, so remember that bit of movement in the caliper there? You need to give the brake pedal a few light pumps, short pumps, not push it to the floor, okay? Very important. A few short pumps like that. Not gonna matter so much with this vehicle. If you don't do that, if you push your piston all the way back and then you back out, drive forward, whatever you're gonna do, you go for the brakes, it's gonna go to the floor and the car's gonna keep going and you're gonna go crash, beating, right? Not good. All right, so don't forget that. Now, I'm gonna go grab that wheel and pop that back on. A few finishing tech tips. These wheels are too heavy for me. I can't keep doing this. All right. Always usually, you like that one? Always usually hold the wheel in properly, get the bottom one started first, at least 2 turns. Then you can let it go, the wheel's not going anywhere, right? We'll just back it up a little bit again. Back it up. All right. I'll put the bottom wheel nut and then let it go. Of course, to get the rest started, you're best to always push it back in again. So it's all sitting nice and square, and that's certainly where you want it when you're tightening things up. Because if it's not square, when you start tightening things up, that's where a number of things can happen. The wheel can be tight but not tight, and then when you put weight on the vehicle and drive it, it pops loose again, and those wheel nuts are not tight. So make sure it's sitting 100% flush. So there's another good caution for you that I hadn't mentioned. I mean, I don't have to tell you everything about cars, but I like to share as much as possible. As I said, a number of turns on these. The other thing that can happen is, over tightening can stretch them, and of course when it doesn't seem right, and if you're using your gun to sort of tighten them up, you can be stretching one to get the other. So they're a bit of a fiddly, they are a bit of a pain. They're not just usual tapered seat that go on better. I do like these. They are a bit fiddly, but I like the design. Toyota's little idea with that, with the flat washers and all that. Some other people might not like them, but I do. Let's do it the other way now. Let's take that white protection off the socket. You know, this thing, we'll just pull that off. All right, so we've just got the plain socket. Give ourselves a bit more room and see, you know, just for yourselves, and you can decide if you think it worked better or not. See what I mean? So where that sort of went tight, but it's not in. If you're rattling that, you're going to possibly do damage. So what you actually need to do is back it off a little bit and make sure, see, the wheels come off a little bit, which is good, because then you know the nuts are sitting inside. They're located. The nuts go inside the hole in the wheel there, right? So they need to be sitting in correctly, right? And if they go in that many turns, right, you're in business. Now, can you imagine going to a tyre shop? Do you think they're taking that much care, or do you think they're just going, you know, like, okay, again, some take care, some don't. Certainly feels like I've got more room, and always make sure that cap hasn't come off, right? You don't want to lose that, right? Tight enough that they're not coming off. Job's not done yet, guys. Just remember, we've got to torque the wheels, we've got to do the customer's invoice, we've got a road test, we've got to, you know, number of things like that. So what we're going to do now is drop it down to the ground, I think. Duty of care, you know, while you've got it up, having a look at a few things. Well, it's normally the brakes you want to have a look at, but while you've got it up and your wheels off and you're looking around, just have a look around, make sure everything looks right and normal. You don't know what right and normal is? Well, maybe that's why you should at least take it to an expert every now and then and let their eyes go over it, because they'll be able to see what normal is. Some of the things you might look at while you're doing your brakes, you might look at suspension, check for leaks at your shockers and stuff like that. You might check for playing the wheel bearings, you know, is there any play there, any movement, you know? Give it a spin, any noise. Other than the normal noise, that's just the pads dragging on the calipers, whatever. So you're listening for any sort of rough bearing noises that shouldn't be there, which you may not be able to pick those either. So take it to an expert at least every now and then, maybe once a year or less, or before a big trip, after a big trip, either side, either, whatever. Bada bing, let's get it on the ground and torque up those wheel nuts. All right, well, the other side happened pretty quickly, as you saw. Just really fast, just wanted to get it done. And I can tell you that the wheel nuts were really evenly nipped up. I did spend a moment to make sure they were nice and even with that gun. And I reckon they went about 10 degrees on the torque wrench before it clicked. So they were probably around the 100 Newton meters, I'd guess. This side I didn't take as much care to make sure they're even, but let's have a look. And you can take note about what I mean. Let me just double, triple check this again. Foot pounds, Newton meters. Yep. Let me get it right. Hang on. I know it's set right, but you know what? I just want to make sure it's set right. You know, just trying to undo that locking pin because it's locked that well. Okay, so there you go. What is it? 113 Newton meters. All right. Okay, so just take note. Excuse, I'll try and get my head out of the picture, but right. Let's see, these ones I didn't do them up as much as the other side, but they were tight enough that, you know, the wheel's sitting square on the hub, but not over tightened, and we allowed the torque wrench. Now, for those that have got questions, why do we use a torque wrench on the wheels and not on the calipers? Oh, good question. Well, I don't know. A wheel's very dangerous. If we have seen a number of problems with wheels and heard about it, if the wheel nuts are loose, they can all work their way loose evenly, and they're gone and the wheel's gone. That's very dangerous to anyone, and it does happen. So it's one of those things that's, I suppose, needs to be a bit more precise than you'd imagine. You'd think, oh, it's just a wheel. Well, maybe it's not just a wheel. Maybe that used to be my thinking as well. Well, it's a wheel, you know. Like, okay, years ago, we never used to use, I never had an issue with, you know, doing up wheel nuts evenly to the right torque, but we never used to check them with torque wrenches. It's more these Toyota wheel nuts that I'm sort of a little bit less trusting. Now, I'm not saying, I like the design and all that, but it's a better design. I like it. It locates the wheel better. It's for smoother, better balanced setup, but they take a little bit more care to make sure they're right, if you know what I mean. So with the caliper, it's tight. It's not coming loose. I didn't forget. It's definitely tight enough. I've never ever heard, you know, the only time caliper bolts are going to come loose is when, I can't even imagine those. Did you notice the resistance turning them? It'd take a long time for one of those bolts to come out. You know what I mean? I couldn't imagine it. You saw I was using a lot of pressure. Now with a wheel nut, if one of those nuts there comes loose, if one's loose, there's no pressure. It's just gonna, there's no resistance. It's, you know, a quick spin like that. Where with a caliper, remember, it was like really, you know, there's a resistance there. So I don't even know that that could undo itself, even if it wasn't tight enough. Now, so I suppose it's my common sense, old school, kind of like an Irish way of thinking. I see the dust in the air. Look at that. You see all that dust? That's off this rag. Look at that. Oh my God. You know what's happening with that rag after this video, don't you? Look at that. I'm breathing that. Oh. Oh. Isn't that a good test to talk about dust in the air and whatever, yeah? You know? I've put that rag down, guys. It's nowhere near me. Oh. I'm just about done, but I'm just going to let it go on for a few minutes or a second. Literally, that rag is gone. It's over there. So it's just in the air here at the moment. That is terrible. Now I know where all the dust come from. All the old man's old singlets, mate. You know, they're a bit too old even for rags. Look at the mess they're making. Still floating around in the air. Never seen anything like it. All right, guys, if you've got something out of that, please don't forget to give us the thumbs up so we know we're doing the right thing. And if, like I said already, if you think I've earned your subscription, please subscribe, turn that bell on so you don't miss out on the next best bit of information. And I'll be looking in the comments, but as I said before, haven't got a heap of time to respond to them all. The odd one will get a response, and every now and then we'll do a Q&A and try and skim through and answer some of those questions, but there is a lot of them, so we're probably never going to get to all of them. But if you want to have a look at some of those Q&As, because there is some interesting answers and whatever, just search on our channel Q&A, whatever, and it'll probably come up because I'm going to call them Q&A and then something else after it, but Q&A will be included. Yeah, like I said, go and watch the other videos. Check out the other one, rear brake pad replacement, rear brake squeal, stuff like that, and you'll find the videos you need. Can you believe that dust is still going? Unbelievable. All right, guys, thanks for watching. See ya.